So that's all for NIKKE for today. So let me go through some of the changes that are coming up. So if you guys can see here, character skills and adjustment announcement. So this fix, or rather this adjustment, will be coming out in the patch that is going to be in 6 hours, or rather like 5 hours and 45 minutes or 48 minutes, right? So it's pretty soon. So this patch adjusts, this patch adjusts like a lot of skills. So first things first, they are fixing apparently it's an issue. At first they said that there is no issue with the noise, but afterwards now they are coming out and saying that there is an issue with noise. So that's interesting. So they are fixing the issue where the current HP is increased repeatedly when the following skills apply max HP buff. So Noise's skill 2 as well as the burst skill, Folk Wang skill 2. Although Folk Wang is bugged, right? Her skill 2, like, it doesn't really matter because Folk Wang skill 2 is on a cooldown, right? So it's not as broken as Noise. Soldier FA, nobody uses them because it's a rare. Rapunzel skill 1, skill 2, and her burst skill. So Rapunzel just getting the nerf bat to the face, huh? I mean, she'll still be usable, but she won't be quote unquote broken, I suppose. After the adjustment, the current HP increase by the above mentioned skills will only be triggered when max HP increased. Okay, interesting. So for Noise's skill 2, activates when attacking with full charge affects the target. So before the adjustment, which is right now, pre-patch, her max HP increases every 5 seconds when attacking with full charge, but current HP increases whenever attacks with full charge. Okay. So just to dumb this down, basically whenever Noise is attacking with full charge at the moment, her max HP just keeps increasing. So it's it's very broken, right? It's not just a current HP, but it's a max HP that is increasing. So she's basically healing for a fuck ton, right? So that's pretty broken. So this is after the adjustment. Max HP increases every 5 seconds when attacking with full charge. So this means that her max HP only increases once every 5 seconds when attacking with full charge. So as you guys can see from the animation, it goes up once and then it doesn't go up anymore for the next 5 seconds. So that's the fix. Current HP will increase according to increase rate when max HP increase. Yep, so that's about it. So Noise and Rapunzel are affected by this change to a different extent. So before the adjustment, max HP increases every 20 seconds for a duration of 10 seconds. Wait, did I read this correctly? Max HP increases every 20 seconds for a duration of 10 seconds. Oh, so every 20 seconds it increases for 10 seconds. Okay, alright. Current HP increases according to the increase rate every time max HP increases. Alright. Interesting. This is Folk Wang skill too. Yeah. Still not broken enough to use Folk Wang. So effect after the adjustment remains the same as before. Interesting. Okay. I guess I should put some music on here, shouldn't I? Just to have some background music. Sure, why not? Sure, why not? Hang on. Hang on, guys, hang on. Where's the NIKKE music? This one? Sure. Hold up. Pause. Put it at 10. Let's go all the way to the start. That's fine. Maybe not this one. Yeah, this is fine. Is it at volume 5? Yeah, it's at volume 5. Okay, that's good. So, skill properties will change, cooldown time will be unaffected. Alright. So they also fixed an issue where the current HP is affected by the other buffs and increases substantially when max HP buff is applied. Interesting. Okay, moving on. Fix an issue where max HP increase rate is not applicable to the first recovery or constant recovery buffs when max HP buff. This affects noises burst skill. So before the adjustment, max HP increase rate does not apply to the first constant recovery ratio, resulting in lower rate of recovery. So what this is basically noises recovery will be more consistent, right? So that's the fix. So it's just fixing the first tick of noises recovery. So it doesn't really affect much, but it's just something that they improved. Okay, moving on. Adjusting the skill properties of NIKKE with taunt effect to improve their availability. So noises skill 2, her max HP increase rate has been increased, so she has more healing. The cooldown is reduced from 5 seconds to 1.8 seconds for even more healing. So noise is still pretty viable. It's just that she's basically not invulnerable anymore. So she has very good healing, but it just like she's not able to increase her max HP to the point where she's unkillable. So that's basically what this is. For Diesel, her defense increased from 22.04 to 25.92. Recovery rate of Custer's max HP increased from 11% to 13%. Okay, so Diesel is still pretty good for Arena. Especially when you are in full burst, right? So if you pair Diesel up with like the likes of Pepper as well as Mordania, and you keep the full burst for the full 15 seconds, Diesel is basically unkillable with Pepper in the backline and Mordania. So I foresee this being a new comp with Pepper healing Diesel with the taunt and the full burst so Diesel doesn't die, and then Mordania for the 15 seconds burst. So that will probably be a new meta. I'm not sure. Only time will tell. I may try this out, but honestly, I don't really wanna invest into Diesel. But with this buff, it would kind of be foolish to not use Diesel in PvP. So yeah, only time will tell though. Next, Noah's skill 2. Attack reduction rate increased from 8% to 13%. So this is quite the huge buff for Noah's skill 2. It's a pretty substantial buff actually. And for her burst skill, defense increase rate increased from 99% to 133%. So like these two buffs alone makes Noah like all the more viable in PvP, especially in PvP team comps, not just PvE. So Noah enjoyers, you have something to look forward to. Definitely have something to look forward to. You know what? Let's full screen this. I don't know why I didn't full screen, but yeah. Fix an issue where the max HP increase of Fremont Delta only increases max HP and not current HP. Oh, I get it. So if they are damaged and they cast the burst skill, it doesn't increase the HP. Oh, like even if they're not damaged, they sort of, you can say quote unquote take damage because their current HP doesn't increase with the max HP. So this is just spaghetti coding from NIKKE. This is definitely some spaghetti coding going on right here. Okay. Alright. Cool. That's a good fix though. That's good. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, moving on. Fix a loophole where the charge speed of Maxwell skill 1 does not take effect when she uses the burst skill. Oh wait, does it not? I've always thought that Maxwell was working as intended, but apparently her skill 1 is bugged. Oh, so Maxwell will be a lot better for our Tyson after this. Interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, look out for Maxwell because she'll be a lot more viable for special interception or Tyson. So that's good. Next, loophole where Snow White's full charge damage does not take effect when she uses burst skill. Wait. Wait, Snow White was bugged? Oh, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. Okay. Fix a UI issue where full charge damage rate is incorrectly displayed as 100%. When charge time... Oh, this only affects like Elise and Uni. Whoever Uni is. I don't know. I don't use them anyway, so it doesn't really affect me. Improve Uni's skill 1 the DMNS, so charge time reduction is calculated based on charge time. Okay. Issue where the laser light does not shoot in the correct direction when... Oh yes, this. Right. So all this time, I thought that Laplace burst skill like does not do anything. I like all the time I thought it was bugged. But apparently it's just a visual glitch. Like the damage still applies, but it just doesn't show correctly. Like the laser light just shoots off into like the side, right? So it's good that they're fixing this. It's a very good like visual fix. This is good. I like this. Also fix an issue where the damage reduction rate does not take effect properly when the character takes. Alright, I remember this. Right. So right now, Ether, wherever this is, Ludmilla, Noah, Noise, and Adme. So especially Noah and Adme. I use these two a lot. So right now, their damage reduction does not take effect properly when the character takes an attack with damage increase effect and ignore defense effect. So basically, in PvP, right, if there is a skill or a buff that ignores defense or with damage increase, the damage reduction of Noah and Adme does not apply. And even to Noise. So Noise is even more cracked than... Noise should be even more cracked than she is right now. That's interesting. And it's funny that Ludmilla has been bugged since like day 1. It's so stupid. They also fixed an issue when Novel and Isabel's damage increase debuff does not... Oh yeah, this! Point 12. Alright? This shit. Holy shit. So the whole reason why Isabel doesn't do enough damage is because her damage increase debuff does not actually cause actual damage increase effect. So after this fix, Isabel will be doing so much more damage. And you will see Isabel in a lot more team comps after this is fixed. So I'm looking forward to this. They also fixed an issue where Privity's max ammo capacity is displayed incorrectly. Oh. Properties remain the same since there's no issue with the effect itself. So this is just a visual, just a visual fix. Interesting. Decrease the duration of Rapunzel skill 2 from 20 to 15 seconds for the 15 seconds cooldown time. Okay, so this basically has 100% uptime. Yeah, it still basically has 100% uptime. So it doesn't like stack or like overlay each other or something like that. Interesting. So finally, due to the big skill adjustments, we will be enabling the skill reset function for a limited time after the version update. So this is basically allowing you to reset skills of 3 characters, right? So if early on you've invested in characters which you don't use anymore, this will be very useful for you, because all the development materials you used before will be returned after you reset the skill. So this is nice. This is really nice to have. Basically, you just get some additional materials to use on whoever you want to. So that's good. How to reset NIKKE? You go to character information, use the skill uninstaller in skills. Okay, that's fine. So it's basically something like how you reset the character's level. That's good. And you only have like 14 days to do it, so you only have like 2 weeks to do it. And for the whole 2 weeks, I believe you only get 3 skills. Or do you get 3 every day? I don't think you get 3 every day. That would be too broken. So yeah, you only can use them for 2 weeks. So take note of that. Otherwise, there is nothing much else. Actually, no, I have something more to talk about. So this is for the upcoming patch, right? That is happening in 5.5 hours from now. So that's for the upcoming patch. Is there anything else in news? Not really, no. Okay, that's good. So that's all for the NIKKE news. Now moving on to uh the new upcoming characters, right? So let's go through Jackal Viper first, then we can move on to the prisoner. The I guess it's called Liberation, the Liberation units. Yeah. So let's go through Jackal and Viper first. So Jackal is an iron rocket launcher burst 1 unit, right? So she's also a defender class, so take note of that. And her skills are as follows. She's a buffer and a debuffer. So activates when she's attacked 10 times. It affects 1 enemy units with the highest max HP, increases their damage taken, and decreases their attack. So that's interesting. Hmm. Also activates when entering the battle. Affects self and 2 ally units with the highest attack. So they share damage taken as well as increased defense. The only issue I have with this is the damage, not damage. The defense buff is not substantial enough, especially at max level. It's not substantial enough to make a big difference. So Jackal, especially for Burst 1, because Burst 1 is so saturated with the likes of healers as well as leader, especially leader. So like Jackal is very niche. I don't think Jackal will see much usage, especially in like this condition. Alright. But otherwise, burst skill damage to a single enemy increased by 39% for 15 seconds, as well as increasing defense for all allies. So this is good, but burst skill damage to a single enemy means like burst skills for like, for example, Braid, right? Braid or Helm. Because burst skills of Braid and Helm only affects 1 enemy unit. So only like single target burst skill damage gets increased. But otherwise it's pretty much useless. So that's for Jackal. Moving on to Viper. Viper is an iron shotgun burst 2 unit, and she's an attacker. Right? So activates when the target appears, affects all allies. So what this means, I guess I can show you in game right now. So what target means is the target stage of like PvE stages, right? So if you go to PvE stages and you look at the battlefield info, you see target here and sub target. So target applies to the basically the boss of the stage, right? So this is the target of the stage. So it only activates when the target appears, and it affects all allies. So only when the boss appears, then you get the attack boost as well as the hit rate boost. So this is also pretty niche, if I do say so myself, because this does not apply. The skill one basically does not apply in PvP. So this is basically useless. Skill 2 affects self, and when entering full burst, excludes one ally unit from being targeted by the enemy. And this is random, right? Like, you can't choose which ally unit. This is random. So this is also pretty much useless. And it loses the effect when caster takes damage anyway. So this is pretty much useless. For her burst skill, affects designated one enemy unit. So you can choose which enemy units that would take damage. And it also reduces the defense by 20% for 10 seconds when it includes the stage target, right? So this is also pretty much useless for PvP because first of all, it's random. You can't choose the enemy unit, right? It's random. And it won't be a stage target in PvP, so this is also pretty much useless. So although I really like Viper's character design, she's also like very niche character. So I'll probably not pull for either of them. So moving on to the liberation characters. First of all, we have Quincy here. So Quincy's a burst 2 SMG unit, and she's a supporter, right? And she's basically her specialty is a buffer. So her skill 1, it activates after 60 normal attacks. So basically, it duplicates HP of the ally with the highest HP, and it lasts for 10 seconds. So this duplicate effect, I believe, adds on to her current HP pool. So it's basically like increasing max HP of Quincy, but it's better because Quincy is a supporter unit, and you will probably run something like Senti alongside them. But Quincy also basically forces you to run like 2 burst 2 comms. I mean, it doesn't really force you to do so, but it's definitely a bonus if you use like a defender unit with a high amount of HP alongside Quincy. It's definitely very beneficial for Quincy. And also the skill 2, which has an 8 seconds cooldown, mind you, affects 2 ally units with the highest attack and buffs their attack by 16% for 5 seconds with a 3 seconds downtime. So Quincy's skill 2 is basically correct, right? It has a 5 seconds uptime with a 3 seconds downtime. Like, holy shit, that is very good for a skill 2. And then moving on to the burst skill, affects 2 ally units with the highest attack. Increases max HP by like 44% for 5 seconds. So this basically allows you to survive like any burst damage, right? From like say a Scarlet, something like that, or a Haran. So this improves survivability for the team. And also increases crit damage by 30%. So what I don't like about this is the current formula, it favors attack buffs over crit damage buffs, or like any crit buffs, right? So raw attack buffs are generally a lot better than like crit buffs. So that's the only thing I don't like about the burst skill, but otherwise her entire kit, I believe it's alright. Another thing I don't like about Quincy is she's an SMG unit. And SMG units are generally frowned upon because they generate bursts very slowly and they don't do much damage. So that's the only bad thing about Quincy and I don't like. Otherwise, the character design is very nice. So moving on to Sin. So Sin's character design is also very nice. Reminds me of the KDA Akali skin from League of Legends, you know? Really reminds me of that. Has that vibe. So she's a burst 2 unit AR, and she's a defender, right? So what does she do? Her skill 1 activates when the last round of ammunition hits. So when her last bullet hits the target, she replicates 15% HP of ally with the highest HP and lasts for 5 seconds. So this is the caveat of using Sin, right? Because Sin is a burst 2 defender, and her skill 1 relies on there being another defender on the team to have maximum mileage, or rather usefulness. So basically you're forced to use two defender units on the same team, which drastically decreases your DPS, right? So it's kind of a niche usage. But if you really require the survivability along with the taunt, then yeah, running Sin along with the likes of Senti would be very good for your team. You will have a very high survivability rate. But if you're using Sin, why not just use Noise, right? Because Noise is just so much better. Noise's kit is just so much better. But otherwise, actually, let's change this. There we go. Where will we? There will we. So otherwise, for Sin, right, her skill 2 activates after the full burst ends, affects self. So because this affects herself and doesn't affect like all ally units, this is very niche. But it increases the burst gauge loading speed by 16% for 5 seconds. So this has a very niche usage. The only other NIKKE right now that has something similar to this is Xmas Rupee. And you guys know how Xmas Rupee turned out. It's pretty garbage. So yeah, this has a very niche usage. It really doesn't do a whole lot here. So this also activates when using burst skill, affect self. Effect changes according to number of activation times. So once you enter full burst, once you use her full burst, not even enter the burst, you have to use her burst skill of 20 seconds. So first of all, it increases, this is vamp, right? So according to how much damage Sin does to the enemies, she heals for just as much. And it only affects herself, it doesn't affect like the entire team. So this is very niche. But once she uses it for the second time, she's basically like, I wouldn't say invulnerable, but she's very hard to kill once you do it for the second time. And then once you do it for the third time, it's just over. But you won't see this usage in PvP because PvP you only generally go to full burst once. So she's not very useful in PvP. Moving on to her burst skill. Activates when enemy units excluding NIKKEs are more than 4, affects all units. Affects all enemies. So it increases the damage taken by all enemy units if there are more than 4. So like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it is excluding NIKKEs. So you definitely do not want to use Sin in PvP arena. Like she's basically useless in PvP. Affects enemies within attack range. So this is sort of like a rupee skill, rupee burst skill, or rather like a Drake burst skill, something like that, you know? So yeah, Sin is basically useless in PvP. You really do not want to use her in PvP. But for PvE, I can see her used for like very niche usages. But definitely not in PvP. Yeah, she's basically useless in PvP, sadly. Although she has a very good character design, I really like it, but her skills are kinda rubbish. Like her kit is pretty bad. So moving on, last but not least, we have Guilty, which is the very large booba design. Like very, very large booba design. So she's a wind shotgun burst 2 unit, and she's an attacker. So that's good. Okay, she's a buffer and a debuffer. So shotgun unit, with a 2.67 seconds reload time. So this is not too bad, I suppose. You can knock this down further with like Privity reload speed, so that's good. So activates after landing 6 normal attacks. So as regards to 6 normal attacks, only time will tell if this means 6 pellets or if this means like she has to shoot 6 times, right? So I assume this means like hitting 6 pellets on a target. So with one shot, I believe you can hit all 6 pellets. So this skill will activate as soon as like you hit 6 pellets. So that's good. And it stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 10 seconds. So that's good. So what this does is duplicates 8.81% of attack of the ally with the highest attack. So I believe this attack is including buffs, right? So let's say you have a Scarlet on the team, and then you have Guilty in the same team. So every time you land 6 normal attacks, you're copying 8.8% of Scarlet's attack. So basically, you just have a very beefed up Guilty if you have a Scarlet that is also like on max stacks. So I'm looking forward to see how this interacts with Scarlet. It's probably going to be very broken as a shotgun unit, to be honest. Like if this works, like if I think how it works with 6 pellets, then I think she'll be the highest damage dealing shotgun unit like ever with a Scarlet on the team. So moving on to skill 2, activates after landing 12 normal attacks, affects all wind type units. So this doesn't affect all allies, only affects wind type. So this is pretty niche, I suppose you can say. Increases stack count of buffs by 1 and also increases attack by 4% for 10 seconds. So her skill 1 is pretty strong, but her skill 2 is pretty niche, right? So this, what does this remind me of? This reminds me of Rupee. Rupee's skill, where it increases the stack count of buffs of Iron type allies. But other than that, like the skill is pretty niche. Her skill 1 is very useful though. Moving on to the burst skill, 20 seconds cooldown, affects 1 enemy units with the highest defense. So this is pretty good, right? Wait, burst skill of 20 seconds with her on a burst 2 unit. Affects 1 enemy unit with the highest defense. Deals damage. So this is like sort of a Scarlet burst once you have the Mind If I Borrow This to max stack. It will be sort of like a Scarlet burst, but only to 1 unit with the highest defense. So you'll basically be able to snipe the enemy's defender unit in PvP with this. And you can also snipe like stage bosses because stage bosses have very high defense. So you can snipe those bosses with this skill right here. And this also affects the same targets when the Mind If I Borrow This skill is fully stacked. So it also lowers the defense of the target by 20% for 5 seconds, and it also deals additional damage. So out of all of the liberation units, Guilty is definitely one of the strongest ones, followed by Quincy and then Sin, with Sin being the weakest of the 3 units. So I'll probably be going for Guilty, but only time will tell because the skills may change once they are released. So once they are released, I'll go through the skills again to make sure like there is not much changes to them, I suppose. But for now, I will really definitely highly recommend going for Guilty first, and then Quincy, and then Sin afterwards. Also because of the big Booba waifu. So yeah. That's about it for the liberation unit as well as the upcoming units.